Pomaže Bog, dragi srpski narode. Evo, velika nam je čast i zadovoljstvo da ja kao predsjednik Srpske narodne odbrane i Dragana Petrović, moja potpredsjednica, danas prisustvujemo ovom veoma važnom kulturno-istorijskom događaju ovdje u centru Amerike, u samom srcu Amerike, u Washingtonu, u muzeju komunističkih žrtava. Prisustvujemo jednom veoma važnom predavanju o žrtvama komunizma, titoističke vladavine u Jugoslaviji, odnosno u Srbiji. Kao što vam je poznato, danas u Washingtonu također boravi i ministar, takozvani ministar spoljnih poslova sa posebnim potrebama Marko Đurić, i međutim on se nije našao za shodno da dođe da prisustvuje ovom događaju, kao što to nisu našli ni shodno ni ambasador Srbije Dragan Šutanovac. Umjesto da ambasada Srbije bude glavni sponzor ovakvog događaja, oni su poslali jednog aparatčika, jednog pisara, koji je ovdje više došao iz razloga da bi podneo raport ko je sve došao da prisustvuje ovoj škakljivoj temi za njih. A zašto je škakljiva tema? Zato što u Srbiji se ništa suštinski nije promenilo. Mi smo svi svedoci da sadašnja vlast, sadašnji režim je ništa drugo nego organski ideološki kontinuitet titoizma, što svedoči činjenica da je Vladimir Orlić pre nekoliko nedelja na dan bije položio vence na spomenike dva najveća komunistička zločinca, Slobodana Penezića Krstuna i Aleksandra Rankovića. Ljude koji su pobili više sveštenika nego Ustaše i Nemci zajedno, više nego 500 godina, nego što su Turci učinili za 500 godina svoje vladavine nad Balkanom. Dakle, naš zadatak kao Srpske narodne odbrane i najuticajnije i najstarije nacionalne organizacije jeste da ovdje u Washingtonu, u centru Amerike, američkoj javnosti predstavimo pravu istinu, a to je da se u Srbiji ništa suštinski nije promenilo, da kada god se susreću sa zvaničnicima Srbije, sadašnjim zvaničnicima Srbije, da treba da ih tretiraju isto onako kao i Titove diplomate, jer ti zvaničnici se i više i ne trude da se distanciraju od Titove ideologije i politike, oni su njeni, dakle, nastavljači, jer glavno bolno pitanje je to da u Srbiji još uvek tajne arhive UDBE nisu otvorene i da, ako je sudeći pod sadašnjem režimu, oni neće biti otvoreni čak do 2060. godine. Dragana, kakvi su tvoji utisci ovdje?
Danas smo ovdje u Washington, D.C. i we're here with the Victims of Communism Memorial Fund. It's an honor to be here, and we'd really like to thank Mr. Patterson and Mr. Mandić for the invite and hosting such a beautiful event where we have been given a platform to speak and engage in dialogue and tell the true story of what the Serbians have been through all these years. It's a history that has been long overlooked, misrepresented, and manipulated. So we feel very fortunate to share the story of the Serbian people, and if anything, to continue to tell this story. And if anything that we have learned today is that history has shown us that this type of government is unsustainable, and today in modern times that we must not repeat this again. We thank you, we're honored to be here, and honored to tell this story.
Dear viewers, here I'm standing with Dr. Eric Patterson, who is CEO, director of this Museum of the Victims of the Communism here in Washington, D.C. Mr. Patterson, can you tell us something about this museum? How long has it been in existence, and the importance of today's event for broader education of the American public?
Well, thank you, Father, and thank you for being here with us at the Victims of Communism Foundation and Museum. The foundation itself was set up by a unanimous act of Congress signed into law by Bill Clinton in 1993, calling for there to be a private foundation, not a government institution, that would remember the 100 million men and women murdered by communism in the past, and to be a voice for liberty for those still held captive in totalitarian regimes today, places like Venezuela, Cuba, North Korea, communist legacy regimes, and others. So our work here, we opened this museum in 2022, and what we seek to do is largely to educate through the museum, through curriculum, through special programs like the one today, so that we call out the crimes of communism, we expose how these people came to power, and the justifications for this terrible form of violence and ideology. And we point to great heroes and champions of freedom, the people who led uprisings, the people who helped their countries transition to democracy.
Thank you, Mr. Patterson, for everything you do, and God bless your work.
Thank you very much.
Evo, dragi gledalci, ovde sam sa gospodinom Stefanom Mandićem, diplomiranim novim diplomcem političkih nauka ovde u Vašingtonu, jednim od organizatora ovog današnjeg skupa. Stefane, možete li nam reći nešto o vama, ko ste i kako ste uspjeli da organizujete ovaj skup danas ovde u ovom centru, u ovom muzeju, i njegov značaj uopšte za istoriju, kao i za iznošenje istine o žrtvama komunističkog terora u Srbiji?
Yes, absolutely. So as mentioned, my name is Stefan Mandić. I'm here at Victims of Communism Memorial Foundation as a research assistant. And as mentioned, I'm a political science graduate from American University. And I think one of the main important objectives with this exhibition is covering a topic that has been neglected in society, I think, here in America and in Serbia. A lot of the history of authoritarianism under the communist regime has not been talked about, has not been discussed. And I think as a society, as we want to move forward, as a lot of Serbs want transparency in society, want to know what happened back then and not repeat historical mistakes of authoritarianism, I think these are difficult conversations to have, but I think they need to be had still. And I don't think it matters what political party you belong to or what place in the world you are. I think the people who have suffered under authoritarian regimes like that, like these communist regimes, they need to be remembered and they need to be acknowledged. The victims need to be remembered, as we do with a variety of other horrid historical atrocities. And part of this exhibition here that we're running at Victims of Communism Memorial Foundation in the name of the people is a part of that process of finally addressing these very tough, controversial issues that had been ignored for way too long. And I think now is the time to finally address these hard questions.
Hvala, Stefane. Hvala za sve što ste učinili.
Anytime.
My name is Otac Saša. I serve as President and CEO of the Victims of Communism Memorial Foundation, and I'm delighted that you could join us. This year is the 80th anniversary of the end of World War II, and so there's been a lot of celebration this year about defeating the Axis powers. And it is appropriate that we celebrate bringing into the racial empire that decimated East Asia under the Japanese. It's perfectly appropriate that we celebrate the end of fascist Italy and, of course, the brutal tyranny of the Nazis. But what we often have lost is that there was an additional set of crimes associated with World War II, the crimes of the communists. As many of you know, the real start of World War II in Europe was the fact that 1 week before Hitler invaded Poland, the communists in the Soviet Union and the Nazis in Germany created a secret pact. Today we call it the Molotov-Ribbentrop Pact. And what that essentially did was cut a deal that carved up Eastern Europe. And it gave the Russians, the Soviet Russians, a big chunk of Poland, the Baltic states, and a sphere of influence. That's the opening crime that has never been accounted for. And as you know, the way that World War II ended
Western Europe was liberated, but the plight of particularly women, but others as well, was rape, pillage, and plunder if the Soviets were the ones who liberated you. In fact, the decimation at the end of World War II is staggering. And of course, complicit in all of that was was Tito. Where was today? We sometimes romanticize this individual. He had a third way. He wasn't a real communist. He wasn't a real totalitarian. But look at the history. Where was this individual in the 1930s? Where did this man learn his craft? He was a lieutenant of Stalin in Moscow, and it was there that he learned his craft. And of course, he took it brutally in his first decade at the end of World War II and then in the succeeding years. Today, we're going to hear from this distinguished panel on some of those things. Let me just say that our mission at the Victims of Communism Foundation is...
Pomaže Bog, braćo i sestre, svi Srbi ma gde bili u svetu i svi ljudi dobre volje. Vi se nalazite na kanalima Srbin.info i centar. Ovom prilikom želim da vas informišem da je YouTube omogućio pretplatu na našim kanalima. Time ostvarujete neki od pogodnosti. Takođe, ako želite da pomognete rad naše redakcije, možete uplatiti donacije preko platforme Patreon ili direktno na naš devizni ili dinarski račun firme. Instrukcije za plaćanje možete naći u opisu svakog našeg videa.